Hello there and welcome to The Big Picture, where we take you through what's, of course, making news, not just today, but across. And in fact, now in The Big Picture, we're taking a look at what is making news through the year 2015. We're wrapping it up. And we're today looking at the future of Indian education. We've seen a lot that's taken place, of course, with the highlight really being of the UGC Occupy protest that we saw. But apart from that, what are the challenges that the Indian education faces? What is it that we're looking forward to in 2016? And we've got an esteemed panel. We've, of course, got Professor Bhattacharya, former Vice-Chancellor of JNU, joining us here in studio. We also have Professor Mridula Mukherjee from the Center of Historical Studies. Also joining us from the capital, we've got Educationist Chona, and we also have from the CII Shalini as Sharma as well. Sir, if I could start with you first, like I was discussing just a short while back, what according to you are the highlights really of 2015 in the education sector that you saw? Both positive and negative, and something that we've learned something from?
See, India is passing through a great dichotomy. On the one hand, we have some excellent educational institutions creating top quality education who are respected all over the world. But this is surrounded by vast institutions, schools, colleges all over the country where the quality is very uneven. So there is a dichotomy emerging, and I'm concerned about it. The good students or privileged students getting into the top university, top schools, they'll have a bright future, bright career, including abroad. Not so good ones, unfortunately, getting education through not so good schools, universities, they are going to be thrown out by the market. So already you see the newspaper, caricature, PhDs applying for peon. And things like that.
Yes, yes.
They obviously must have come from those institutions. The fact is to be noted is that. So to me, the greatest challenge right now, while widening the education, quality has to be simultaneously ensured. It's not mere expansion. Our quality and reputation, I'll give you one very sad example. This summer in Bihar, when high school exam, there was a newspaper photo, all of you have shown it.
Yes.
Parents and jumping. I was in New York at that time.
Yeah.
Many people told me, well, Professor, are these going to come with a professional degree to USA? That this is the way they will get, you see, a negative feeling created.
Yeah.
As it is, you know, USA, there is a negative feeling, Indian professionals coming and snatching jobs.
That's right.
So I was taunted. Are this the way your professionals are getting degrees?
Yeah.
So, you know, such things also create a very bad image of the country. On the other hand, we have such vibrant, young, talented students, professor institutions. So that's where I will say challenge is expansion with quality.
Absolutely. And since we are talking about that particular incident, ma'am, you know, one of the main reasons, even during that time when we had a debate about, you know, those parents helping and, of course, the mafia that goes around, you know, the leaking out the test papers and things like that, it's a lot was blamed also on the high cutoff marks that we are seeing, not just in Delhi University, we're seeing it rising all across, you know, various states as well, different boards. Is that the kind of pressure too that, you know, children are facing, something that even the parents are facing as well, more than the children?
Well, it's very simple. If you don't have enough seats in educational institutions, the pressure will build up. So the high cutoffs are coming. Why? Because there are just not enough colleges and institutions of higher learning, and the aspirations.
No, but higher than 100%. I mean, you know, there has to be a limit.
If a college has to take in 20 students and it's getting applications from 1,000, then what does it do? It just raises its cutoff and tells everybody else stay at home.
Mridula, can I half a minute?
Sure.
When you say not enough seats, you probably mean the top educational institutions.
Yes.
You see, Delhi University, you can't get below 90, whatever it is.
Right.
Go 100 kilometers, even 40% will find something.
Yeah.
But then that's not a good education.
Yes.
So what we are bothering about, top quality institutions, they are not having enough number. And so everybody is desperate to get into that. Yeah.
I couldn't agree with you more. In fact, you don't have to go outside Delhi. Within Delhi University, that imbalance is there, where people are vying for the few good colleges because people want a good education for their children and the children want a good education for themselves.
Yes.
And rightly so. So I think the issue which Professor Bhattacharya raised right in the beginning, we are very confused about our educational objectives. You know, we keep talking about excellence, quality, but operationally what we do is we let populism take over. We are not clear whether we are ensuring access to all, whether the objective of education is equality, equity, or whether the objective of education is excellence. Now, I'm not saying access should not be there. I think universal access should be there. But at the same time, you have to worry about how you're going to guarantee excellence. So these twin objectives have to be matched, and some institutions also have to be sealed off for some time at least from the populist pressures. Because you cannot overnight create excellence everywhere. So I think here we are not willing to even let the institutes of science or the IITs, etc., we are not willing to make exceptions where we need. The moment we do that, we say, oh, these are elite institutions, these are ivory tower institutions. Well, I'm sorry. You know, if you want excellence, you keep saying we don't have Nobel Prize winners. How are you going to get Nobel Prize winners if the people who are working over there have to teach loads of students, they don't have the facilities for research, they don't have labs, they don't have the money. So you have to have a well worked out policy where you are ensuring both the objectives, but in a manner that both the objectives are achieved. Here we have a mishmash. We are very confused about what we want. We want an IIT, but we put it in Motihari. Where nobody is ever going to go to teach. We want to start an IIM, but we will put it 10 hours away from the provincial capital, so they cannot attract any faculty to go over there. We are very confused about what we want to do.
Mrs. Chona also joining us. Ms. Chona, what according to you are the challenges that the Indian education system is facing? We of course are dabbling into cutoffs, we're dabbling into, lack of seats. Anything you'd like to add?
Actually, it's a very, very huge canvas, you see, and education is a subject which touches the largest number of people in this country, because we are the youngest country in the world. But there are such variation in standards between schools and schools. I can speak more about schools education than high level education. There are some very good schools, there is no doubt, but they are far and few, they are expensive. And I think what we need to do is to improve our education in the government schools so that everybody has an opportunity, not just access to education, but access to quality education. And education is not something that can be swallowed like a pill. It takes a long time to build up the, human, kind. Therefore, I think first and foremost, we need to teach our children that they must try and introspect and desire to learn. The parents are dying to get their kids into schools because there's hunger for education. Education is not any longer an investment. It's no longer an expenditure, it's an investment. And every parent knows that whether it's a girl or a boy, education is a must.
Education is a must, but teachers also very important, that you have the right kind of teachers as well. And we do know the state of teachers. Not only you don't have teachers, but even a large number of them are not even qualified. Ms. Shalini, if I could come to you, is that, according to you, the crux of the problem as well that we're seeing as far as giving out quality education to our children goes?
Yes, I agree that on the teaching side, we need a lot of improvement. And I think all the panelists have described the challenges which have been the same for years. These are not the challenges which have emerged in 2015 or they are going to go away in 2016. These challenges have been there for years, and these are the problems which are going to take years to solve. I think what we need to look at is, like you said in the beginning, what are the new things which the government did in 2015 and what are the new things that we can look forward to in 2016. And I think in that direction, Mridula ji said that we need a comprehensive policy. And on that, I think we are going to get a new education policy which is being drafted at the moment with consultation from several stakeholders all over the country. It's been a huge exercise and every segment of society, I think, has contributed to that. And I think that would be the biggest thing to look forward to in 2016. In this year, there have been several significant developments in education, apart from this consultative process for the new policy. I think the imprint scheme, which the Prime Minister launched on 5th of November at Rashtrapati Bhavan, which is going to promote research between joint research where academic institutions and industry are jointly going to undertake research within academic institutions, and there's going to be huge funding available from the government. I think that's been the most significant development of 2015 according to me. The challenges have been there and they will be there, and these are not the things that can be overcome in a short time.
All right, Professor Mridula, you would like to respond?
Yeah,
to
I
this?
just want to bring the discussion back to some basics. You know, she talked about the new consultative process which has started for the new education policy, which is very welcome. But I was very saddened to see, and I hope I'm proved wrong, that there's not a single educationist or academic on that committee. It's a committee which consists of bureaucrats. I mean, bureaucrats have their role in society. I don't deny them their role, but surely all wisdom is not necessarily resident in bureaucrats. I mean, all of people who've spent their whole lives in education, surely they could have some role over there. People like Mrs. Chona and the school level, there are so many distinguished people in all fields, you know, so I was really disappointed. The other thing, I think, you know, basics matter. What kind of expenditure have we committed to education? We are still nowhere near what is considered to be the minimum necessary expenditure on education worldwide. We are nowhere near it. And last year, we suffered 40 to 50% cut in the education budget. So what are we talking about? I'm sorry. You know, we can talk about research, collaborations and this and that, but when it comes down to the basics, whether buildings can be built for the schools, whether the schools get water, whether the schools get proper teachers or not, if the budget is not there, schools shut down. Also, I think we have actually treated the government school sector in a very stepmotherly fashion, and in most states it's been neglected, and in fact government schools quality has declined and even the numbers have decreased.
All right.
So I think in a country like ours with our kinds of level of poverty and inequality, to imagine that the private sector can meet the needs, educational needs of our students both at the school as well as at the college level is completely a
too much of an ask.
The public has
sir.
to come in.
All right, Ms. Chona wanting to respond, yes.
I think it's very, very important that there is public-private partnership, because while the education provided by the government schools is certainly unsatisfactory, therefore more and more people are running to private schools. But private schools also must not take advantage of this situation. I firmly believe that if we have student-focused education, it will make a world of difference. Right now, school education is based in examinations and the kind of marks you get. So where is the learning taking place? It's examination-oriented and not child-oriented. So much of curriculum. I mean, in those, in a year, they have about 140 working days only. 6 hours a day or 5 hours a day. And the poor kid has to study so many subjects. We have to be realistic. These have to be age-related. We have to be in pursuit of excellence, working with hands, a strong sense of citizenship and nationalism, self-security, education for the respect for girl, child and women. All this begins early. We are only interested in textbooks. We are only interested in giving a lot of bhav to the publishers. I think it's high time that the parents were involved and considered as a very, very important voice in running of the schools.
All right, sir.
See, I welcome private initiative and greater involvement in education. Unfortunately, however, and I'm involved with some of these committees, including private sector, they are concentrating only on a few top professional subjects,
Yeah.
management, computer,
Yeah.
and engineering, and most of them don't want to spend one pie on research.
Yeah.
They calculate one teacher, so many students, and I am in some of these committees fighting with them.
Yes.
Yes, the only private involvement, I should not name entrepreneur, one big entrepreneur group, they are doing it genuinely. Rest are out of CSR, corporate social responsibility. Since I am involved in some of this, I know.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
I keep telling them, look, Harvard, MIT, Stanford, these are all private universities. Substantial amount of money they spend on research, not for tomorrow's profit. 20 years ahead, 15 years ahead. I tried to persuade the leading industrialists, except one group, I am not naming. Why didn't you think about research? We need these engineering colleges and all these things, not for producing some more routine, down the mill. None of them will compete with IITs.
Yes.
None of the private engineering colleges are anywhere compared to IITs. IITs are public institutions. None of the private universities compared to any of the top central universities like JNU, Delhi University and Hyderabad. So I said, why can't you take initiative? At least one Indian, Harvard, MIT, Stanford. After all, the new digital development came from Stanford University,
Yes.
industrially spending money not for personal profit, encouraging technology park. South Korea, the largest spender on education in the world, $500 billion they've earmarked only for research by, not government, industry. I was talking to the director of one such newly created research institutions for private sector. I should not name it. He's an IIT professor.
Okay.
1 year he resigned. I said, why? He says, they're asking me in 6 months. What new profit you have made for me? Now, in research, first you have to do fundamental basics.
Yes.
None of the private institutions are teaching basics. They don't teach physics, they don't teach mathematics, they don't teach philosophy. The basics of knowledge. Even economics, they will teach narrow finance, but not theory of economics. And I keep shouting at them, what are you going to get? These people will be run-of-the-mill routine.
All right.
So what we need,
Yes.
I still say, yes, government alone cannot bear entire educational expansion. Private sector has to come forward in a big way, but not with a narrow short-term profit orientation.
All right.
For a long-term development,
All right.
even for that field of research in that.
All right. Ms. Sharma, you would like to respond?
I want to add one point here that as far as research funding is concerned, nowhere in the world is private sector investing in basic research. That has to come from the government.
Sorry,
Whether it is
Harvard,
or Stanford,
MIT,
they all
Stanford,
get
they're all
competitive
private.
research grants from the government.
No. Sorry, ma'am.
Sir, they all
Harvard,
get
MIT,
competitive
Stanford,
grants
these
for
are all
research
private.
from government.
Harvard, MIT, Stanford,
All right.
Harvard
I know that,
professor
sir,
of Greek
but they all
philosophy
get
is coming
funding.
from private. Harvard professor of Greek philosophy
Okay.
is funded by private trust.
So what you're saying is the government obviously needs to do more as far as
Okay.
researching. That is something that, in fact, during the UGC protests as well,
Yes.
we did see when the non-net fellowship, they were cancelling it, not
Yes.
cancelling it, was the whole confusion. One of the main things that also came out of that is that the government does not spend enough on research. Ms. Sharma, do you agree on that? And do you think the government needs to do more as far as this is concerned?
Absolutely. Yes, and that is my point, that as far as basic research is concerned, it is the government which has to be the main funder of research, because private sector cannot invest in basic research. It will invest in applied research, not in basic research. And that's the way other countries have also done.
Okay.
That's where I differ with Professor Bhattacharya.
No.
Harvard and Stanford might be private institutions, but they all get competitive grants for research from government. Here, government spending is not
Bell Lab did
to the
so much of
extent it
research
should
on
be. Private
digital
sector has to
communication,
play a big role.
entirely private fund. Bell Lab, creator of mobile phone technology, entire communication research, entirely out of the Bell Lab profit. No public fund. I know some of Boeing is doing in Boeing, I have visited all these places. In Boeing, employing thousands and thousands of researchers to do research on electronics, nothing to do with any making Boeing. They say, let them publish theoretical paper, 10 years, we don't mind.
All right.
As long as they advance the knowledge in the field.
This does inspire industry, this does inspire various private players as well. 1 minute, ma'am, if I could just go to Ms. Chona, she would like to respond as well.
Yeah, I think there isn't any sort of one versus the other. There is absolutely no doubt that research is required.
Yes.
But let me bring in the school sector into the discussion. As usual, the higher education takes the cake away. Now we have a large number of aspirants for wanting very good school education, but we don't have good teachers, we don't have good facilities, we do not have labs, we do not have libraries, we do not even have toilets for the safety and security of the girl child.
Yes.
Now we're talking about higher things. I agree those are very important, but the foundation has to be laid. Why is it that a school teacher should be paid lesser than the college lecturers? The school teachers put in as much work as anyone else. Also, then we have divided the school teachers into 3 categories: primary, TGT, PGT. I think primary teachers have real hard work to do if they can bring up the education of a child to open and illuminate his mind and heart for learning more. Therefore, I think research is required. I totally agree. And private partners should be encouraged. All the cases are against private schools. But what about the government schools? The teachers get the same amount of money, but they should also produce the same kind of results. They'll say the parents are not educated. But then you have to educate the parents. We as a family in a school have many legs. We have the students, we have the teachers, we have the parents, we have the communities. And if all come together, a lot can be done. And of course, the government must support the private sector.
All right. Ma'am.
Yeah, I would like to support what Mrs. Chona was saying and focus attention on the school education, because I think everybody in higher education understands that unless you have that foundation, you really can't do much with higher education. So the school education is absolutely a must in terms of building on it, even if you're looking at it from the perspective of higher education, but for itself. And I think one of our, in a sense, our missed chances after independence, I strongly believe, has been that we did not go in for a common school system, where with the neighborhood school policy, where everybody in the neighborhood went to the same school. And this is not a socialist enterprise. The most capitalist of countries like Japan, like US, all have this, And there are some private schools, but very few people, very rich people may send them there. But 95% or 98% go to these neighborhood schools. Apart from what it does in terms of equity, teaching children that class is not something that matters. You can build friendships across social and economic, divisions, etc. I think it is so important in terms of ensuring quality education. It's only when the children of the well-to-do, of the powerful, of the bureaucrat, of the politician, of the professor go to the same neighborhood school that the quality of that school will improve. Otherwise, it will always be something you keep talking about, but you never actually do anything. It's when your kids are going to get affected that you're going to really bother, and then you will make sure. So I would like to see an India in which the school at the local level, at your community level, is the best building. In the village, it's the best building in the town.
Perhaps that is a thought we can take forward to 2016.
It's the cleanest, it's the smartest, it's got the best facilities, the teachers are the best paid. I would like them to be paid more than professors.
All right.
Because that's where the real investment in our kids is.
2015 didn't see much highlights. It was the same old story that was, of course, repeated again and again. But looking forward to 2016, hopefully the new education policy will come up with something interesting, something inspiring to not just students but teachers as well. We'll leave it there for the moment. Thank you to all of you for joining me here, and a very happy new year to all of you, of course. And we'll see you again in 2016, of course. But as far as the big picture is concerned, tomorrow we'll be back with another topic. Do stay with us on Rajya Sabha TV. Thank you.